Joining me now in studio, I have another member of the Progressive Caucus. I'd like to welcome the leader of the African Transformation Movement, Vuyo Zungula. Mr. Zungula, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us here in our makeshift studio right opposite City Hall.
Thank you so much for having us.
Right, let's get straight to it, Mr. Zungula. Today's press conference, I think it's dominated by one thing and one thing only, Phala Phala. I had Carl Niehaus earlier on. You guys are pushing ahead for that motion to happen.
Indeed, because the president has to account. It can't be that you are going to have a sitting president being found by a former chief justice that he may have violated the constitution, and the country just moves on as if nothing is happening. Look, a sitting president amasses so much power. He's got power to appoint judges, powers to suspend Chapter 9 institutions. So we need to satisfy ourselves as a country that that person never abuses his office for his own material benefit. So that is why he has to account for Phala Phala. Amongst other things that we as a Progressive Caucus, we are basically pushing. It is progressive ideas that will actually transform our country. Because we are 30 years into democracy, but the inequality levels has gone up. It is growing, inequality, it is widening. You find that poverty is on the up, unemployment is on the up, crime is on the up, and then there is this marriage of convenience, which is the GNU, that is formed by political or policy opposed parties, which are not going to deal with the fundamentals of what is wrong with our country. What is wrong in our country from the economic point of view is that our wealth is in the hands of few families. What is wrong when it comes to our legal system is that we are still using an imported legal system that does not reflect our culture, our norms, and our values as Africans. So without addressing those key concerns, every sauna is basically like a whitewash. We're just playing because they deal with cosmetics. Whereas Tina as the ATM, we view that let us deal with the fundamentals that will actually transform our country.
Mr. Zungula, let's touch on the GNU because, I mean, it's a bunch of parties where the policies are really, and we need to call it what it is. It is completely different. How does that occur? Because I want to touch on, for example, two issues: land reform and the NHI bill, amongst other things. I mean, you've got parties there that really don't see eye to eye in terms of their policy. When you listen to the manifesto, their policy and the policy of the former ruling party, the African National Congress, just do not see eye to eye. How is this going to work? Because it's really going to be difficult.
Yeah, look, I think what they're going to try and do is to just keep things the same. But there is going to be more DA influence in terms of the policies. I'm sure you might have heard many ministers in the past budget debates. They kept talking about private-public partnerships, which is something that is unheard of. You can't be government and you're wanting to have private-public partnerships. As a government, you should be boosting the capacity of the state to deliver services and actually, fix our problems. Not have a case whereby you are inviting the private sector. So the DA is pro-private sector. That is why they are privatizing most of our assets. Now, what we're seeing in our country, it is a marriage of convenience that is not about the people, but rather it is about the elite. Remember, the DA has been long making a noise to say they would rather go into bed with the ANC in an effort to keep any possible working together of the ANC with progressive movements such as your EFFs, MK parties and ATMs. And those parties, what we have in common is a fundamental transformation of our country. That is why we speak about land expropriation without compensation. We speak about the ownership of the economy, because the DA represent the people that are owning basically the economy. Those funders, those companies, those wealthy families want everything to remain the same. So that is why the DA push to get there, because they want the country to basically remain the same.
I got one final question, Mr. Zungula. Are you confident in the numbers in that potential impeachment vote? And when do you see that happening?
There's many programs that we're doing, including taking the public protector report to court. There's a constitutional court matter. In the next coming weeks, in fact from August, because we are going on recess in the last week of July. So when we come back, that is when Parliament is going to fully operate, because now we're just dealing with the budget debates. There's no time to process any other thing. When it comes to the numbers, remember that motion was sponsored by ATM, which had only 2 seats, but it gathered more than 100 votes simply because it was based on substance. So we believe that when we push the motion again based on the very same substance, the number 102 is going to increase to be more than the majority, so that Mr. Ramaphosa is held accountable.
Mr. Zungula, thank you so much for joining us here at our Hilal TV studios. Much appreciated.
All the best.
Okay.
Jazakala.
Amin, tuma amin. It's Vuyo Zungula, the president of the African Transformation Movement.